my generation, we never draw tires, even though we love big wheels and everything else. So one of the things that really, probably because I work for a Japanese company, and most of the business is in Japanese. I do have a little bit more time than most manager types have. So I actually still draw and I still clay model myself.
Right.
Because I do have a little bit of time to do that. And then it actually allows me to connect with the team, because one of the things that happens, I think, to management types is they lose connection to the design process because they're in meetings all the time, just naturally.
I was wondering something. Where does how does your creative process work, you know? Like, say, you just have an idea, and like it pops up in your head, or like, say, you have some meditation first, and then and then the idea comes to you. How does it work, really?
You know, it depends, because sometimes you start and you already had some inspiration that you wanted to, and this happens. But then, depending on the designer, there's a process of discovery. So you start putting lines down, you play with the shading, and then the one movement that you do with the pen surprises you, and it makes you a little curious, and then you take a little journey. So if a designer is somewhat open-minded to these kind of things, you end up exploring a lot. And I use this kind of pen because the first strokes are quite light, and it forces you to keep building, which with other kind of pens it's not like that.
This actually brings me back a lot of memories from my childhood, because I used to draw a lot, like a lot when I was a young guy. But you know,
you are a young guy.
but I was, let's say, a child, and with the internet, I stopped drawing completely. And I wasn't that bad either, to be honest. I wasn't that bad.
Well, we didn't have the internet when I was young, so it was either this or play with a rock outside.
True. It's actually quite nice.
My father was an architect, so he used to, at home all night long, I just watch him, similar process really. He'd just draw over and over again, looking for a design that made him curious.
So basically you're drawing mostly all the time, I suppose, doodlings to try and find ideas.
Yeah, actually my real drawing almost never happens on paper.
On paper, really?
I do mostly Photoshop.
Okay, so it's mostly on the computer then.
But I use a blank paper. I don't use Photoshop for photo manipulation. I use just all the airbrushes and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I typically, with the mouse, I don't use a wand.
Oh, you use with the mouse, not with the drawing tablet?
Yeah.
Whoa, that's a pretty big feat. Okay.
What happens is that I hit on a layer, I put just an airbrush dot, and then I warp that dot into shapes.
Okay.
And then I intersect it with other shapes, and I create volumes and tension and movement this way, because I started doing it on airplanes because I travel so much. And then basically I become a kind of the ability to be completely mobile. So I use a mouse. I don't have any kind of sophisticated software, just Photoshop, and then
Whoa.
that's how I do it. The automobile is about humans' desire not to walk. But
It's actually quite
But
nice.
not the side of we want to get there quickly. It's the dream. For me, not wanting to walk has nothing to do with commuting. Is that we are frustrated by the limits of our own humanity. So we first jumped on a horse.
Right.
Why? No other animal needs to do that, jump on another animal. But we did because I think we have this frustration with our own skin and our own limbs. And I think that this is not because we wanted to go faster to go from A to B, is that we have this dream of being bigger than we are. And I don't think it's a physical thing, it's emotional. So, flight. The first people flying were not thinking about going to Paris with 700 other people.
That's true.
They wanted to leave Earth.
Yeah.
No reason. I think that I would love to make a kind of village culture in this brand, and that the cars are a reflection of what we can make with our hands. Even if it's stamped by a machine, if it's made by a
3D
robot,
printer?
3D printer.
Yeah.
But in that is the idea of breaking away from our own skin.
Okay.
So, of course, I am curious about autonomous cars very much. Because they're, again, humans manipulating what is ours. We're frustrated by whatever we have, and we want something else. This can have negative implications, but it's also quite positive for dreams.